Hey, Bobby Motor.
Hey, my name is Riley.
Hey everybody, this is Michael and you're listening to Specula Live.
We got it now, Bobby. You can take it away.
Now I got to watch what I'm saying. Dang it. HR is going to get me. No. So I am we're all just real estate agents at the end of the day, right? I've been in real estate since 2012, 2013, when my wife dragged me into it and said, you got to quit your corporate job and come do real estate. And then, that was the end of the world. No, I'm just kidding. It's, it is what it is. So for the last decade or so, I've been doing everything from individually doing transactions to myself, to building a very large team, to at one point I was the director of labs over at KW, helping them build some cool tech, or try to build some cool tech. Then I left there. And now I still have a real estate team. It's not what it used to be. At one point I had 65 agents and 10 ISAs. And then a couple of years ago, stumbled into this AI space. I've always had a tech background, even in my finance days, but stumbled into the AI space and realized, the immense opportunity there was for us in real estate to amplify our service businesses with this AI tech, to provide us with the leverage, with the tools to be able to grow relationships that we have with the clients. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, is how do we build deeper relationships with these clients, because that's why they use us, period. So here I am today. I'm the Chief Growth Officer, Head of Industry, and partner with Riley inside of Speculo AI after we merged our two companies together. It feels like 5 years ago, but it was really like 5 months ago, ready to change an industry and help agents like yourself and teams like yourself to grow and adapt to this age that is inevitable at this point. The things that are happening inside of the AI space are on a daily basis blowing people's minds that are paying attention. And, the sky's the limit for what it's going to do to help us to do our jobs at a higher level. Not
100%.
Yeah. So that's where I am, who I am, my background. I am a technologist by hobby, but it ultimately became my career. I spent way too much time getting a self-directed degree in all of this. And so now I would challenge, most people to a duel when it comes to AI technology or even building products. I don't know.
Comprehension is so valuable, right? But it's the experience of even being in real estate with your background to be able to apply it, because one of the things that real estate doesn't do is it doesn't stop. So if we go back to the early 1900s, there was real estate being transacted. It's just, how much could you do? You get to the early 80s, talking about Keller Williams, Gary Keller, brilliant guy. He was kind of a pioneer in the franchise space and bringing in large amounts of teams and growth, massive growth, as everyone knows. Very smart guy when it comes to the sales process. And then here we are now, advent of the internet, advent of, cloud-based real estate teams. Now we are at the precipice of something so big. So you can tell that I am a self-proclaimed dinosaur. I've been around a long time. And, what I've realized in growing my own teams is that, we are always adapting. We're always evolving in the real estate space, and seeing this rocket ship of AI, not understanding any of it, but knowing that when the internet came, now remember, you guys are young, so I remember pre-internet, also pre-cell phone. Don't get it mixed up. We didn't have candles walking into houses and showing them, but we didn't have cell phones at one point either. So, advent of technology is the advancement in any field. And here we are. Again, I would say we're on the precipice, and really appreciate, you guys and companies like you that are out there and able to invest all this time, energy, and effort in learning and growing and literally, writing code and prompts that are going to be specifically for industries like real estate. And it really matters. So away we go. Let's do this, because I'm an old dinosaur, but I have to learn new tricks. And that's one of the biggest things that I would stipulate in real estate is these newer agents, these younger agents can lapse these veterans that have been in the business. I think in a 1, 2, 3, 4 year period, if you're a dinosaur like myself, you can be established in a community or area or be an expert. But I think that the times are going to change really rapidly.
I think that's a great point. I think a good place to start, TJ, that I think would be valuable for the content and for the viewers and everybody as we build this out is we always ask everybody 2 questions. And the first one is what would you attest your success to? Let's talk about who you are, where you started, what you've created up to this point, and what is that thing, right? Everybody's got their thing. Everybody has their genius. What is yours? So just tell us your story, tell us your history, and tell us where you're a genius in the real estate world.
Gosh, the book's not out yet, so I got to be careful, right?
The ad for the book right here. This is the ad.
Yeah, that's it. You can pick it up on Amazon and in Kindle. So yeah, my story is that I got into real estate at a time where it was a peaky market. It was mid or early thousands, and everyone in the business was doing really well. It reminded me a tremendous amount of COVID years, where everyone that was in real estate, was doing very well, and it was an easy time to get in because everyone seems like they could get a real estate license and instantly have a career. And that wasn't the case back then, and it's not the case now, as we're finding out with some of these agents that have gotten in, the last 2 years. It's been very difficult for them. So I got into at a very difficult time. I thought it was a good time, and the market pulled away from me. And I realized I didn't have a good skill set. I didn't have a good sales process. I didn't have a good comprehension, and I wasn't really adding value to anybody. So I had to learn, and applying myself tremendously to, learn how to do real estate and understand how to add value to clients and gain knowledge, etc. Today, 20 years later, I teach on, new agents and agents in general, even, agents with 5, 6, 10 years of experience. Like, if you have to experience it to learn it, you're going to be old and gray and bitter, like a lot of folks out there. So if you've got to learn from others. And that's my biggest thing, as I say, don't do real estate alone. And hence why I look to, experts like yourselves in this space for me to learn, but I can't learn it all myself. So we have to synergy and have a power team and, really kind of let the experts, work, invest in each other. And I think that those type of things have been very successful, making me more successful and my teams more successful in real estate in general. So, that's kind of, I guess, the crux of where I started. And, what's our niche? What makes us successful? It is specifically focusing on one thing, not everything, right? There's a lot of agents that get their license and they take, having a state license seriously. They're driving everywhere for that hope of turning a doorknob and somebody says, I'll take it, right? We are not that. We are very hyper-focused in certain markets. We have several teams. One of my teams I call them SEAL team. There's 10 agents. They sold 150 million last year in a price point that is 762 was our average sale price. So wow. Lots of transactions, and there's always learning, right? Every single transaction we do in real estate, we should be learning from, and typically sometimes we learn reluctantly. So that's like one of my teams, and then I have a lot of general real estate teams as well. But we focus specifically, and I teach to focus on your own neighborhood, your own community, your own area, your own zip codes, not driving everywhere around to try to make a sale. And with that, when you start branding and marketing as the CEO or the mayor of your area, town, etc., you become valuable. And then other people start referring you, and now you have leads that do not cost money because you've already invested the time, energy, and effort. So it's just part of those things that we like to talk about. And I am super excited, just so you know, like just to reiterate, I've been doing some extracurricular activities, when you try to find time being in real estate and running teams, but to learn more and more and more about AI and then how it could apply to real estate. You guys are the experts in it, and I'm super happy to be doing some advertising and marketing and effort with you, so you guys can help us take what we do, what we know, the databases that we collect, and then being able to take away some of the laborious parts for real estate, right? One of the things that we see constantly as team leaders, and Bobby, you probably experienced this as well with your teams in real estate, is that somebody pays for the lead, right? Somebody pays for the lead, and then there's agents that accept the lead. And then somewhere between the acceptance, there might not be a closing, even if the lead came with a wheelbarrow full of money, because there's so many things going on in real estate at all times that it's hard for agents to maintain, keep up, etc. with their leads. It's easy when you don't have anything going on. It's very difficult when you have a lot of things going on. So the AI program with Speculo AI has allowed us to scale up our conversations, all the while not being laborious to the agents in the office of making these calls and then follow up and things like that. That's been revolutionary for us.
Yeah, and I know I know when we've talked in the past, one of the reasons why we're here and part of the reason why we partnered with you is because of your deep experience in sales, right? And how that's always been a huge focus on for your team. So I'm very curious to hear, and I'd love to just get your feedback on sales, the art of sales. I mean, there's endless amounts of books and content about what sales is and how sales works and how some of it is verbal and others nonverbal, right? There's so many aspects to sales. And in real estate, I'm curious, do you feel that AI can get the job done the same way that a real estate agent can? Do you feel that the sales process is moving farther and farther away from that human connection, even whether it's a human or a technology or whatever? I'm very curious your opinion about where AI fits into that sales piece specifically.
Well, big difference in AI from today than 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago, the automated callers didn't work, where they sounded very robotic. They had no kind of personal feel connection to them, where now you listen to these AI bots, is that what we call them?
Yeah.
Agents, digital representatives, they sound incredible. They sound absolutely astounding. In fact, you can get your own voice on an AI bot, which, if it's outside your family or close friends, they wouldn't know. So what it's allowed us to do is to really take our sales process that we can train on and teach on, and then allow the agents to get a much more qualified prospect, right? So in real estate, you have suspects. We all start with suspects, which are a bucket full of folks that said maybe they wanted something in real estate, or you're reaching out to your sphere of influence and they said, I don't. But, the great quote is, you go through your database and make them cry, die, or buy, right? Cry, die, or buy. You got to keep hammering your database, but now it's allowing people to be lead generation companies. So, and even the individual agent. So for the individual agent, they will use AI, Speculo AI, the tools and the tasks that are available while they're out either showing properties, because the roller coaster of real estate, which is I create a brand, I create a website, I put my stuff on social media, I prospect, then I discover or converse with the lead, and then I organize a showing, and then I take them out, and then there's follow-up, and then we get under contract, and then I get inspections and appraisals, and you have all these different spinning plates at all times. This is the laborious side of real estate that's very difficult. But my philosophy is always, if you can stick a salesperson inside the middle of it, they don't have to market or generate leads, and they don't have to, do the assistant stuff with closings and TCs and stuff like that. But if you stick them in the middle, they can then scale their business up. So, we've become a massive lead gen company. And then you add in a great sales process, and we have a super high conversion, right? It's simple in sales. If you want to make more money as a realtor, single realtor, team, small team, large team, it doesn't matter. Get more people to talk to and convert more. That's it. It's as simple as it gets. And it's talking to more people that this now AI that you guys have created has allowed us to make more lead generation. So if I can get more lead generation, put it into the bucket, more people are spit out that are qualified, ready to go to talk about real estate. Revolutionary.
That's one of the biggest things that initially was trying to solve for is you didn't get 1,000 leads from Facebook. You can get 1,000 leads from Facebook. You can call every single one of them. Let's be honest, though, most agents quit after the first 50. You can call every single one of those 1,000. You may talk to 10% of them. If you're lucky, you're going to talk to 10%. More likely, it's going to be about 5%. You're dialing 1,000 people, and most agents are using triple dialers or whatever to do that, or we were back in the day before they are not so kosher anymore. But you may talk to 50 of them, and when you talk to those 50, maybe 7 to 10% of them actually have a real estate need at the moment, like actually want to do something. And so, that turns out there may be 3 to 5 leads in those 1,000. And so agents get burned out spinning their wheels trying to connect with the leads in the first place, because they're trying to get to a place of where they can build a relationship, because that's where the trust comes into play. And so the way we envisioned AI was AI can help us to make that initial connection, find the people that actually want to connect, and then turn that into a, hey, you know, you want to connect, you want to talk about real estate, let me get you connected with an agent that can really help you, that can really build a relationship with you, that can actually help you to transact. And that's where the real estate agent's going to thrive, I think, in leveraging AI, is they can build more relationships. Because, you know, you and I both know, TJ, that's all this is about. When I first started building my team, they were relationship managers. That's what we called them. We generated all the leads. And I think we're still going to have to do that as team owners. But it's how do we get the agents belly to belly, face to face, voice to voice with all their suspects, so they can turn into prospects and actually turn into transactions.
100%. There's no secret to this. It's who's doing it and where we're going with it, right? I can see even the future of this, and really individual agents that don't have to go through all the experience of actually experience it themselves will instantly plug and play. There's a lot smarter people than I. They'll instantly start plugging and playing where they can acquire leads for lead gen. So as soon as you become a lead gen individual agent, you could be an individual agent selling $2 million a year, I think is the average in Florida. You know, the average agent sells like $1.8 million, whatever it is. You know, there's agents that sell a lot more than that, and there's a tremendous amount of agents on my team that sell multiples of that, 10x, 20x. And the reason is that they don't get stuck in talking to 1,000 leads. I can tell you, I've done this exercise. If I've given my agents calls to make, like you said, they fail probably at 20, because in that 20 you might reach 4 or 5 or 6, and then those 4, 5 or 6 need follow-up, and in that follow-up it takes a lot of time to build rapport in a follow-up through emails. Send me this. They're not saying I want to go see this house. They're saying, yeah, I might be interested. What do you have? Tell me more about it. What does it look like? How much are the taxes? All the like legit, logical questions that buyers ask before they even get to an appointment. So building that rapport, or cutting down on that process in the beginning is very valuable.
Yeah, well, I think too, it's funny as we're sitting here talking, all three of us have a very unique point of view, right? Me coming from more the service side, generating leads, holding agents accountable, building more of a business that services agents. Bobby building a big team. TJ, you running an independent brokerage, now a big team, right? All the different perspectives we have all come back to the same place, which is there's kind of 3 stages. There's the lead gen, which is done by us, right? There's the lead nurture, which is supposed to be done by the agent, but is extremely difficult to hold them accountable to doing that process. And then there's the lead conversion, which agents absolutely love. They'll run through. I used to say this, right? It's like getting an agent to make the initial phone call to have that initial conversation is like herding cats, right? Yeah. But then getting an agent to talk to a warm lead or pick up a warm transfer, they'll run through a brick wall to get that phone call, right? And so it becomes the argument of, historically, us as leaders in the space, how do we hold agents accountable to making those initial phone calls and touching the people the average of about 5 times it takes to really get them on the phone and build a relationship? It almost begs the question, and I'm curious, your guys' perspective of, do we even want to keep banging our heads against a brick wall trying to hold agents accountable, or do we just want to take it out of their hands and give them what they really want, which is real opportunities?
That's all we're doing right now. And what's really changed for us is taking the accountability off the agents, because they feel like they're working 40, 50 hours a week, and maybe they are, but they're in the chasing and not the lead nurturing, right? Yep. So that's the biggest thing with AI today, and using speculative AI, like it's really revolutionized that. So it also keeps me, from a team leader standpoint, it keeps the leads in my wheelhouse, my pocket, so I can see who's active, and then I can send out and give an agent a warm lead. Because what happens in the industry is, if you lead generate as a team leader or a brokerage or a broker, and then you give leads to your agents, what happens is, if they're a poor source of leads, the agent will naturally not want the leads, and or will tell you they're taking them and working them, but they're not. It's just
bow out,
part of human nature. If you give poor leads, or they feel like they're poor, they will stop working them, even though you're still paying for them, right? As team leaders and brokers, we're the ones paying for it. Now we have more control of our leads, our databases, and then we're giving the agents with more trust, And as they're converting, they're going to be jumping up and down like, who wants a lead today?
Yeah, well, and it's even funnier too, because then as a rainmaker, again, I love these perspectives, right? It's like as a rainmaker, you also then you start getting into that challenge. I have probably dozens of conversations a week with rainmakers who are complaining about the dependency that their team almost is forced to have on you know who, right? And it's almost impossible for them to get their agents away from that unless they just rip it away, right? Or they start their business down to this type of profit margin and start generating their own leads, knowing that it takes time to convert and get agents away from it. So it's such a challenge to pull them away from that. And, again, it's how do you build the buy-in from sources that are building your brand, not somebody else's, and are holding agents accountable to the right activities, which is convert activities, right? Activities that make money.
Well, what solves all problems? Sales. Sales solves all problems for everybody in this industry or any other. So if you can teach them how to do it better, if you can put better quality people in front of them, and then that will hold them accountable. You'll know who your A players are right away, and you can grow your team of A players because you're providing the best service for the agents that value that.
Exactly. So, go back to when we first got into real estate. When anybody gets into real estate, nobody gets into real estate to do the lead generation follow-up activities. And I think that's one of the biggest, things that I think AI is going to help us to solve for. And that's why so many people pay Zillow, OpCity, a lot of those big lead aggregators so much money, is because they're like, well, hey, I don't have to do it. That's why agents join teams too. And then we turn around and tell them to be accountable to their activities and all that stuff, and to make all their cold calls. And I think a tool like bringing in an AI into those conversations is going to not only amplify those agents' businesses, but our teams are going to be able to go and be a greater source of value to every single one of those agents, because the AI is just going to amplify what we're giving and providing to them, because they don't have to go buy the leads at that point.
Yeah. It's almost as if teams are getting their own version of these big lead aggregators, right? They're becoming the lead aggregators themselves in a cost-effective and efficient way, when historically it was extremely challenging to be able to build something like that. And you've got to be able to withstand a huge time frame of no ROI and training and nurturing agents' businesses to get them to understand that that's really what it is. Because it's not that rainmakers don't have that issue, right? Rainmakers get it because they built it, right? They're the ones that created the teams, but it's building a team used to be so inefficient and so cost heavy up front. And again, you're just fighting an uphill battle with getting agents to do what you need them to do.
We have been, and TJ, tell me if I'm wrong, but everything that we have done and built was to help focus the agent in that space, in the relationship space. It's the same thing that the Zillows of the world, the OpCities of the world have been doing, except now we're getting to a point and a place where all of that extra leverage that like the OpCities had are going to be able to be taken over by AI at every level. And it's only like right now, AI is the worst it's ever going to be.
That's right.
Think about that for a second. Like all the mind-blowing stuff that we're building at Speculo around AI is the very worst it's ever going to be.
No, to literally where we are coming in with AI. So think about that day that you didn't have a cell phone, and then the next day you had a cell phone. The day that it probably goes back all the way to light, electricity. Like the day you didn't have electricity, and the very next day you had electricity. So much for the candles, right? Yeah. All the wax makers went out of business. So if I'm an individual agent, this is the coolest part, I think, of what I've learned, which is just a tiny bit, is that if I'm just a single agent out there and I'm looking like, how do I sell real estate? How do I make money in this real estate? I feel like I'm working hard. I talk to my sphere of influence. I can't. If you changed your mindset to being a lead generation company, you have the ability to be a Zillow, so you can take your neighborhood. You can take a neighborhood. I'm going to give like a real quick cookie here, right? Anyone can do this in any market, anywhere. Take your MLS, circle an area that you know the most about. If you don't know anything, then that's where you're not getting paid in real estate. So find an area that you want to be the best at. You circle that. You find out how much has been sold for the last 5 years, every single year. You multiply it by the commission rate, whatever your average commission rate is in that area. Multiply it by 2 because there's buyers and sellers. And then you're going to find out exactly how much money is being paid for real estate sales every single year habitually. Then you can look and you can say, how do I get 10% or 20% of that market? I can host open houses. I can meet the neighbors. I can send postcard mailers. I can do some things with the HOA. You can go to your local your local, kind of pizza shops, ice cream, whatever it is. You can implement yourself into the society of that you're going to be an expert in to get 10 or 15% of that commission. And it will come to you every year without effort. But you must implement. There's a little learning curve. There's a little bit of growth component. And then once you have that, then you can implement all this AI and have this automated systems of people that are getting follow-up calls from you and your team, and then they're constantly reaching back out to you for their services. That's all you want. You want your phone to ring. You don't want to have to ring out. You want your phone to ring.
Let me ask you to elaborate on that, because I also think there's a whole nother conversation happening in real estate right now. And I mean, even just where we're at in this conversation, I feel like we're just getting started. I've been taking notes this whole time on all the stuff I want to talk to you about. And you just hit one of the points, which was another big conversation in real estate, whether it's around, the legalities of it or the AI part of it or just the lead gen part of it, is the one-to-one, right? So I'm very curious from your perspective, what you just described is an outstanding way to build your brand, not somebody else's, right? Focus in on building your brand and your awareness. Tell me more about how you're getting leads, right? Regardless of AI, how are you getting leads and are you generating business? As you said earlier, you're a lead gen company. Tell me about how you're doing that to build your brand and not somebody else's.
We do not pay for any of the services out there. I'm not on any subscription plan of any services out there. That's number one. Number two is I invest in what I know. So the areas that I know, I do the regular stuff. There's not any secrets to this business. I love when I get into a room of 1%ers, right? The top 1%ers. We laugh. We all are laughing because anyone could do what we do.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's no secret. But in the younger generations are going to, they just need to learn their sales process and how to converse with somebody in a rapport building, discovery, presentation, and value kind of conversation. Once you get that down, I think that's why Tom Ferry's are so successful, right? He teaches into the sales process and how to communicate. Every realtor should take communication classes. They shouldn't take their continuing ed classes. No offense to any associations, but they're going to get a lot more out of taking communication classes.
We're going to have to cut that out of the podcast.
Yeah, you might have to, but it's the truth. So, but communication classes are very vital. So, we get our leads from, doing, the lowest rung stuff is gathering databases of communities, of areas, and then soliciting through postcard mailers that makes them a call to action. It makes them reach out, opt in. Then you can do your cheap form, which is e-blast, right? So we send out e-blast, but the e-blast have to have a call to action too. If somebody's out there sending out, cookie recipes, in your postcard mailers, I'm just going to tell you right now, they don't even make it into the house. They find the trash bin before they even make it into someone's house. So come up with a little bit better of call to action. There's so many ways. There's a book out there. I think it's called Becoming the Digital Mayor of Your Town.
Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's a really good book out there. There's a gal that I respect. She did a little presentation on that and she does it. Phenomenal way to go and implement yourself into your area. So, where we are at and what we do, we're very well branded. And so we have, I call them big tent stakes in the ground. And we just kind of habitually do that and do hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And It does not take a whole lot of effort. At times, the real estate part takes a lot of effort. But
it's supposed to, right? I mean, that's that you're helping somebody buy or sell some of the biggest investments of their life. It's supposed to take time.
Yeah, and when you have comprehension and value that you can help them out with. But so we do our postcard mailers, we do our e-blast, we do our local marketing. We implement ourselves into the community, into the areas that we're experts in. We host events. We're really good at that. We're really good at hosting events and bringing value and asking for nothing. Right? We ask for nothing. And so that gives us a brand. We have our websites. Our websites are big generators. When I started out, I had to pay God amounts of money to Google and pay-per-clicks and things like that. Now we've achieved the attribute of being the source of information. Yeah. So our phones constantly ring and say, hey, I found you through this. And I'm looking for that. Well, that's actually not us, but let me help you get to where you're going. By the way, have you ever thought about owning your own real estate and purchase or investment or what have you? Are you guys looking? Are you in the market? You just ask them simple questions. So that's where we really gain a lot of value and opportunity is through people using us as a service,
Ooh, I really like that. I really like that. Let's shift the conversation to the consumer side. That's a big topic of discussion right now on the sales side specifically, TJ. When you're working with consumers, obviously you've been in production. I don't know if you still are now. I imagine not.
I listed 10 million today.
Oh, there you go. Okay, wonderful. Well, not only in
Good
production,
day.
but 10 million in one day. That's amazing. So when you're building relationships and you're selling, right, to these people, which in reality selling is simply just bringing value and building relationships, where do you see, or I guess a little bit more context before I ask the question. One of the only things I hear that agents are afraid of is, well, I don't want AI talking to my clients. I don't want my clients to feel offended that AI is talking to them. And I'm really curious what you think about that. I'm curious what your opinion is on that.
Well, when we started very recently with AI, the conversation, first and foremost, comes across phenomenal. The communication of it is something that we just kind of tuned a little bit to fit more of our style and or who our audience is, most importantly. And it actually comes across that we're so busy that we wanted to reach out to you because it's very important that we talk to you and had an offering for you of some sort, an opportunity, right? People like opportunities. They don't like to be sold anything. So the opportunity that we're bringing them is a call to action. And with that, they don't mind that it's an AI. And just to be clear, for anyone that's like listening to this, like it's as real as these conversations we're having right now.
Yeah.
So it's not this robotic, I don't want someone talking. I actually hired, to go off topic just a little bit, but I hired several call teams and they were from overseas. And we had so many issues with that comparatively to having no issues with AI making tens of thousands of calls.
Yeah, every day, right? Every day.
Every single day. And so, I think anyone that is looking to scale their business, it's very easy now to take one thing off your plate, and that is this consistent laborious follow-up.
Yeah.
Okay. So
100%.
get them, you're trying to get warm people that are interested, and then your phone rings because AI is connecting you. And then you pick up and you can have really legitimate conversations about real estate and where you're going to go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have one of my favorite things I share with people is statistics, right? I mean, we can talk all day long about our opinions and our feelings, and obviously we're in this industry and we're all successful in this industry. So of course, what we think and what we have to say is valuable, but statistics tell the truth, right? They never lie. And
right.
one of my favorite data points, which was very recent, obviously, because AI is so recent, is as new companies start to establish AI agents that receive phone calls for support and service from current clients or outbound sales calls to people that have interest in inquiring for certain companies, whether real estate or anything else, there's two data points that are really interesting. The majority of consumers out of this data set they have two very interesting opinions, and they vary each other very deeply. The first is the majority of consumers enjoy AI because they know it makes their life easier. Because at the end of the day, in any business, doesn't matter real estate, doesn't matter sales, doesn't matter if you sell car parts or rubber bands, they want to receive that value in an easier way over time. Consumers want their life to be made easier. That's why they're going to buy or sell with you versus somebody else, right? So they know AI is going to make their life easier. However, simultaneously, that exact same subset of consumers in this data, in this study, showed that they also are afraid and a little bit defensive about AI because they don't know if it's real, right? They don't know if it's legitimate. And so, again, just to kind of pose a question to both of you, I'm curious, how do you feel that as we continue to scale and grow AI into our business and agents' businesses, and whether it's us or somebody else, how do we build more legitimacy around AI? How do we, as the agents that deploy AI to our consumers, make sure that the consumer, the past client, the lead, understands that we're not deploying anything that's sketchy or unethical, right? We're simply trying to provide more value. How do we do that?
Me, Bobby? I got you. So first and foremost, again, we're new at this. So anyone that's getting into it, if I can tell you like how fast things go, we're already thinking of like what the communication looks like, conversation 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, all the way down as far as we can go. Mm-hmm. We haven't had much, we haven't had like feedback that I don't want to talk to an AI, but let's take it this way. Let's just say that there's a percentage that disconnect from the conversation of conversations that never would have happened. So if you're making 1,000 phone calls in one day for us, how many calls would my team been able to make? I'm going to tell you, I can tell you for this one team that sold over $150 million, 10 agents, I can tell you they would not make 25 phone calls because they do not have the ability to make 25 phone calls because they're busy. So now if we make 1,000 phone calls, right, and we get 25, and I still have 975 people to connect to next day, right? And I say connections, not like I should say contacts, not connections, right? So the thing is, those calls would never happen. So if you are a team leader, you're a brokerage owner, you're paying for leads, you've accumulated all these names and you do nothing with them besides sending them snail mail, and I mean snail mail is email now. There's no such thing as real mail. Emails are snail mail. I delete more than I open every single day by far. I don't think anyone's not in that. We do a thing called text warfare, right? We like to say text warfare because if you send me a text and it sounds personal, you send me a video, I'm interested, right? I'm interested. But you send me an email, you got more than a 50-50 chance that I even see it.
So it's almost like we not reaching out to people because we're afraid of inundating them, which actually shows a lack of intent to provide value versus making calls that weren't being made otherwise, which shows value.
They're not going to be made. If you are a brokerage owner, you're a team leader, those calls aren't being made. You have a database of people that you just stick out there an e-blast once a month, giving away cookie recipes. Get somebody on the phone, let AI work for you, get a script that's going to have a call to action, really important, and then they're going to connect to your agents. And you give your agents so much more value connecting to a warm lead. That's the secret. That's our secret right now. The scale of this is an upward trend. Then it allows me or a brokerage owner or team leader to now say, I'm converting more, I'm making more. Where am I going to invest now?
Yeah, I think that was the seed of all of it too, was around how do we had a standard, and the standard was much more easily followed when our database was a couple hundred people. But our database, once it got up to the tens of thousands of people, it became almost impossible for us to connect with the database on a quarterly basis, voice to voice. It is impossible because the agents don't want to call. And so back to the whole leverage, and as we scale and get bigger, like this is that leverage that we need to make sure that we can run thriving businesses and agents can have thriving businesses and go actually get deals done, create transactions, and get paid. Because that's why they do it.
Yeah.
They get paid, they're happy, they'll do more of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's almost like what a lot of people are talking about right now, right? The future of real estate is going to be one of two situations. It's going to be massive, efficient teams that agents plug into to get leads and get warm transfers and have support on the back end, or it's going to be solo agents that are insanely efficient. The absolute 100% control factor that's going to be there for both of them is the keyword efficiency, right? Agents at this point, it's almost like you almost want to defend the agent. I mean, think about us sitting here, right? Do we want to be having sales calls after sales call, cold call after cold call to try to get business? Or do we want to have conversations like this? Well, efficient activities are happening in the background to get those results done for us, right? It's almost like what we're saying is it's okay that the agents don't want to go kill themselves on the phone every single day because they don't have to anymore. We had to back in the day. We absolutely had to, but we don't anymore. So why in the world are there rainmakers and teams out there right now that are still hammering that on top of their agents? It's why
they just don't know.
Yeah.
They just don't know. They just don't know.
They don't know, they're afraid of it, or they're scared of what it's going to do to the industry. But at the end of the day, what AI is going to do for us in the industry is the same thing it did for us when the internet started, except probably more so. The internet provided so much more leverage for us to understand what homes were actually on the market to our clients. People were terrified of it, and a lot of people never got behind it, and those agents went by the wayside. Same thing's going to happen with AI. There are those that are going to accept it and lean into it and grow and thrive because of it. And there's those that are going to be terrified of it and going to be operating the same, MLS book model.
Well, think about it this way. If there was somebody that they were scared of the internet and intimidated with the unknown at the time, would they be okay with not using it today?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They'd be screwed without, like all of us, right? Not just them, all of us, right?
Exactly. Yeah. AI is the way of the future. And AI is a very broad term, as you guys can talk about. It's a very, very broad term. But when you specifically are talking about AI for real estate, what it allows you to do is it allows you to scale warm phone calls, warm contacts that you would not have otherwise been able to do. And it's super effective for teams and brokerages, but the individual agent, now they can actually focus their attention on something different because they're spinning so many plates to keep their businesses going that it's hard for them to prospect while they're working with clients for contracts. And you have to let technology work for you. If you put these right pieces together, you're going to have a very consistent business that's sane, doesn't drive you crazy. Your phone rings and you know that phone call is much warmer than these paid per searches that people are doing and have done habitually. It will give you like your own quote, paid per click. I mean, Zillow, I heard, was more searched than the word real estate. Think about that. That's a true comment. The word Zillow is searched more than the word real estate. Congrats to them for coming up with a weird name and maximizing the internet, home searches.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Well, and it also goes back to, as we're talking about like the efficient business, right? In the agent moving forward, I think something that in the service-based world, and Bobby and I, we're going to be actually down in your neck of the woods, down in Tampa, talking to a big group of agents here in late January. And one of the plans we have is when we first stand up, we're just going to ask, what is important about your business? What is the number one thing that you should be doing every single day? And most agents are going to say lead gen or generating business or something like that. And, our mindset is no, you just should be providing value, right? That's the whole point. We're in the service industry. So we're providing a service, and AI is only going to enable us to provide a better service. And it just goes back to the same point. What do consumers want? Right? Consumers are going to buy a house regardless of if it's with TJ or Bobby or Riley or with Open Door or with somebody else, right? They're going to buy or sell houses. It's a matter of who's going to make their life easier when they're going through that process. And it's absolutely inarguable that AI is going to make the consumer's life easy. So quit worrying about yourself and your opinions about AI or your opinions about how to build an efficient business. At the end of the day, our job is to make our clients' lives easier. Right. Yep. And that's what consumers want. It's statistically proven. That's what consumers want.
If there's somebody out there that's worried about somebody talking to AI, you do it every day. You do it every day. And you're going to do it. You're going to scale that at 100%, and you're not even going to have any choice in the matter. That's not even something that came across my thought process. My thought process as a team leader was, how can I make my business move faster? Talk to more people. Okay, so I can lead generate. How am I going to lead generate? I can scale this. I can do this. I can try this new. And then what do I need to do? The conversion's the next thing. So conversion, the sales process, make sure the agents have a good sales process. We teach on that. But the most important thing is that you can't wear your agents down. I mean, everyone I sell real estate still, right? Real estate can be very laborious. And the laborious part of it is what we all don't like. We love the money part. We love the closing part. We hate contracting, or a buyer goes with you to see a property and then buys from somebody else. Like, we hate all of the waste that's in here. AI takes away the waste. It takes away the waste. It just scales your business. Nobody is not going to use this in 1 year.
Now, if we could only get it to take the therapist side out of it for us and our clients.
Yeah. Well, try it and buy it. That's all they're going to do. Try it and buy it.
I think at the end of the day, that's one of the things, those agents that are afraid of it. The fastest growing tool of all time on the internet was ChatGPT, which was the first iteration of everything. It was the first publicly available, accessible iteration of AI in the world. And it grew faster than TikTok, grew faster than Facebook, grew faster than everything. People are using it. They're accepting it. If you're a real estate agent out there right now listening to this, is not, I don't want to use this because my clients are probably not ready for AI. They're all using it anyways. And you're probably using it too. Just lean into how it's going to help grow your business. And I think, TJ, you're doing that pretty effectively. And I'm glad that you're, a part of what we're doing and on the ground floor of what we're building right now.
Well, I'll tell you, where I am today from where I started is vast, and I can't believe it myself. It's pushing me to understand, comprehend, and scale on my side so I can scale AI on the other side for my agents. And, let's talk about ChatGPT. Who's not using ChatGPT?
Yeah, for real.
I wrote a listing description 2 days ago for a $2.2 million house, and I only put in the address and prompted it with, write me a real estate listing. That's it. And so I didn't think anyone was going to come back because it's a vacant piece of dirt. And it came back, and I put in 6 bedrooms, 6 bath, and it came back. I just copied and pasted and put it in. I literally didn't do anything else.
Don't tell your clients.
They want me to sell. That's all they want.
We did not get into this business to be writers. We got into this business for relationships.
I was a C student in English at best. Okay, you're looking at a C student.
Better than me.
Yeah.
I think it's probably all of us. Well, TJ, dude, thank you for your time. I know we're hitting the top of the hour, and I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you. I think there's some valuable nuggets in here, and yeah, I think there's some really valuable nuggets in this. And yeah, man, I mean, more power to everything we're working on. We appreciate you for many reasons, and yeah, man, we are excited to have you here, and can't wait to share this.
My scale is in your hands because I can see what you've done already for our business, and I can't wait for tomorrow. So keep going on your side.
Awesome, TJ. Well, thank you, man. We appreciate you.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on the Speculative Live podcast. We are very grateful for your support as always. If you or someone that you know is interested to just get a consultation on how they're using AI in their real estate business, do not hesitate to hit us up through one of the links in our profile, or you can feel free to DM us on any one of the social channels. Stay tuned for more episodes and make sure to like and subscribe to make sure that you get notified when our next podcast episode comes up. Thanks, guys.